Stranger Things Season 5 is well and truly here. However, we've still got to wait a couple weeks to find out the culmination of this fantastic series. And what happens in that period of time where there's no episode? Theories. In this video, I'm going to tell you my top 5 theories that I found online, and I'll rank them from least likely to most likely. Number 5, Vecna is Will's dad. Now, look, this is a theory that I found, and there's a reason it's in the number 5 spot. I think this is incredibly unlikely, but there is reason to the madness, okay? Think about it. Vecna, Henry, back in the day, was in the same play or theatre thing that Joyce was in the past, and it was a memory that they showed us in the show while Max was traversing Henry's memories. It was something they wanted to show us. Clearly, they knew each other and had a connection in some way, but was that connection romantic? We don't know. But what else? Will has powers like Vecna, so that must be another link there. Yeah, okay, the link there. And on top of that, there's 2 moments in the show. The Demogorgon in the barn doesn't kill or attack Joyce. And on top of that, there was the attack that Vecna comes into the big battle, and Vecna doesn't attack or kill Joyce as she runs at him, shouting at him. She just dashes him aside. And the final thing someone said is, why is Joyce still so protective of Will? Is it because she knows that Vecna is his real father and she's trying to protect him from that? That is the theory, that Vecna is Will's dad. Now, if you watched any of my previous videos, especially episode 4, I did in the review, I spoke about little hints and like references to other TV shows and film. You know, for example, Henry was walking like Michael Myers, or for example, Vecna lifted the dead of Demogorgons like the Night King in Game of Thrones. Well, this, if this is true, would just be a rip-off of Star Wars. Imagine that, Vecna, as he's attacking Will in a battle 1v1 in the finale of season 5. Will, I am your father. It would just feel a little bit out of place. I really don't think this theory has any backing whatsoever. Very quickly, Will has powers because Vecna implanted all that goo into him. Nothing to do, there's no connection there. That bit was silly as well, but that was a theory I've seen. Just want to make sure that that's very unlikely. I'm going to give that a score of like a 2 out of 10 likelihood. Moving over to number 4. Now this one has a little bit more legs to it. It's about time travel. There's a strong theory right now that the back end of Stranger Things Season 5 will delve into some form of time travel to complete the story. Now think about it. When I saw this, I thought, why and how would that work? What on earth? But there is a strong similarity between 2 things in this season. Erica's class. When we finally see Erica back again, the professor is talking about a wormhole and time travel. And then when Will is painting what he saw in his vision about what Vecna was doing, what was it? It was very similar looking to that wormhole. Time travel is something along the lines of Henry / Vecna trying to build some sort of portal to go back in time to prevent him ever going into the Upside Down. Maybe even preventing the professor from ever doing the experiments on the kids in the first place. Could that be a theory there that is valid? On top of that, of course, we've seen Max traverse through the memories of Henry, which is basically a form of time travel. She went into the past to see that bit in the school corridor. So there's a link there again to some sort of traversing through time. And then the final bit was the reference to the book A Wrinkle in Time, which is a book about some form of time traveling as well. A lot of references. And then on top of that, little side note, what did Lucas say in this season? There's no such thing as a coincidence. So all of these things are adding up. No such thing as a coincidence. This one's a lot more likely than the previous one. I'm going to give this one like a 5.5 out of 10. There is a world where this could happen, potentially even linking to a future theory I'm going to say in a second. But before I get to any future theories, make sure you drop a sub to the channel right now and join the Floppylegss family today. I'd really, really appreciate it. Click the link in the bio. Do a lot of content as well elsewhere. Let's get into number 3. Now, this is a theory that I really don't want to be true, but it is a theory that a lot of people have suggested could be true. And I really don't want it to be. It'd be really horrible. It'd be like it all being a dream. But it kind of links to the time travel to some degree. Okay, there is a strong theory that this is all the D&D game that they were playing at the very beginning. The Dungeons & Dragons game that the kids were playing at the very beginning of season 1. This could be the game playing out in a way, and it's all just like a big old metaphor for the game that they're playing, because Dungeons & Dragons is such an immersive game. What if this was just a massive ad for Dungeons & Dragons? That would be absolutely balmy. 9 years of just a prolonged advertisement for that game. Basically implying that the game's so immersive that they go back to them as kids, and then bosh, Bob's your uncle. You know, oh, rest in peace Bob in the show. They just end up at the end of it all fine. And then that kind of links to the time travel element. Potentially it wasn't all just a game. However, they go into the time travel. You know, there could be a link there with those 2 theories. This whole theory as a whole, I think it has some legs because it is one of the strongest theories of just before this season even came out, what could potentially be the ending of it all, this would be absolutely horrific. I think the likelihood is probably like a 6 out of 10, a 5.8 out of 10 maybe, but if it did happen, it would be probably a 2 out of 10 devastation horror. But if they link it to the time travel element where like everything that did happen with the Upside Down is true, but maybe they do like some sort of time travel, stop El even ever creating the Upside Down, it would feel quite, I don't know. I'm a Marvel fan, and Endgame obviously went down that time travel route as well. I like that, but you know, it can be quite overdone just to solve and make ends meet. I don't think it's likely. I'm actually going to lower this one down to a 5.6, just so it's above the time travel one as well. I don't think neither of them are that likely. Now we're into the final 2 theories. Number 2 is a lot more likely in my eyes. I think this is actually almost guaranteed, and it was a good spot by people on TikTok that I found. So what people are saying, in Dungeons & Dragons, to win the game, you need to roll a 20. Okay, a 20 is what you need to roll to kill the boss at the end, or something along those lines, and that would be Vecna. And of course, if you have 11 and you add 8, that's 19. Add one more, it's 20. Who's that one? Oh, Will. Because Will is the one, he's the number 1 version of what Vecna's created. He is the equivalent of 1, Bosch, 20. They all work together to kill Vecna. It's a bit of a metaphor. I like that idea. I like that concept. It makes sense perfectly. And it makes sense why they would bother bringing back 8 as well, another powered being in this world. That is going to happen. I think this is almost a dead set, and it would make sense why they brought 8 back, her sister. Like, there was no reason to do that other than her being pivotal in the demise of Vecna and the culmination of the show. So that is almost a guaranteed theory. I actually feel like that's a spoiler, because it's that obvious, in my opinion. What I'd also say as well, in the Hellfire Dungeons & Dragons game that they're playing, so that again would be a link to this number being pivotal in winning the game, winning the Dungeons & Dragons. And we already know the whole show is basically a long metaphor for D&D as a whole. And even if you don't look at it as they need to roll a 20 to take down Vecna, it could be that they need to work together with their powers. You know, 11 wasn't strong enough to open up the wall on her own. However, them 3 working together are powerful enough to take down the wall or open it up, to be able to see inside where obviously Vecna's base is, or the Mind Flayer, or something that's bigger than anything we've seen yet. Something is behind that wall. Obviously, it's definitely linked to what Will was painting on the walls as well. But that big wall of goo, I think all 3 of them could be the key to open it, as well as the key to take down Vecna. That one, as I said, very likely 8.5 out of 10. Now, the final theory for the future of Stranger Things Season 5, and I think this one is, I'm going to say it, a 10 out of 10. This is 100% happening. I'm so sure of it. I'll count my chickens, and they've hatched, because I know it's going to happen. I've seen the future. Will is going to die. Will is dead. Will is so dead, it's unbelievable. And it would make sense. You know, the whole show has always been about Will. Will gets taken in season 1. He's a pivotal character throughout, as we all know. And then this reveal at the end of episode 4 of him having powers is just another reason to know how important he is within the show. He's connected to the Hive. Vecna, him, the Demogorgons, the Upside Down as a whole, it's part of him. And I think him feeling and finding those powers is him, you know, coming to terms with that, you know, coming to terms with a lot of things as well, obviously in that sequence, but fully becoming what he is there. And I think that has connected him even more to the Hive, meaning when they take down Vecna inevitably, because that is always going to happen to some degree, I imagine. The only alternative is maybe Vecna dies but Henry lives. That would be the only like sort of difference, but Vecna is going to be demised or be removed. Therefore the Hive will be removed and everything else will happen. I think that connection that he has with the Hive will also lead him to die. And if it isn't that, he'll die destroying the Hive. It will be a joint effort. Kind of links to the previous theory as well of those 3 individuals working together to take down Vecna. So those 3 work together, but one falls at the end, and that will be Will. But I think that one's almost guaranteed. I definitely think the guaranteed thing is that someone in the 4 of the boys are going to die, and it makes the most sense for Will to die, for the sense that he's been so detached from them the whole way through and what have you. Maybe he'll sacrifice himself saving Mike, or there'll be something happening there with these powers. And yeah, the only other thing I can think of is he'll lose the powers at the end once the Hive gets destroyed, but this one I like more. Maybe it's not a 10 out of 10. I'll move it down to a 9.5 out of 10. I'm very confident. The only difference is maybe he won't be the one that dies. It may be somebody else. But there's definitely, my strongest theory is that Will is going to die. Let me know in the comments down below what you think is the most likely theory for the final of season 5 of Stranger Things? Leave a comment down below right now and make sure you drop a sub. I'd really, really appreciate it. And join the Floppylegss family today. I'll see ya when I see ya.